What's going on, everybody? We are live. Another episode. The Crazy Face Uno podcast. I'm here with a special guest. Her name is
They're all
Caitlin.
special, but I'm special.
Hart-Doffing! They are all special. You're all special to come on here. Caitlin, thank you so much for being here. As always, it's a pleasure.
Ugh.
She's nervous.
Super.
Very nervous.
I'm not that interesting of a person, so.
See, this is a common theme, though, of people saying this, and I disagree. And we're all going to get to figure that out right now.
Oh, yeah,
so, I'm going to give a little rundown of things I know about you.
Okay.
You are a hockey coach.
Correct.
You are a lacrosse coach.
Correct.
Do you coach anything else?
Nope.
Not
Just
currently.
us two. Yep, just
Okay.
us two.
You work in special education.
Correct.
This is how we met. We used to be co-workers together.
Yes.
And let's see. You love pickles.
Mm-hmm.
You're your dog's biggest fan. And by fan, I mean, like...
He is my child.
Obsessive.
Unhealthy obsession, but it's totally normal. It's fine.
It's normal, I think. Yeah. You recently got married?
I don't know if that's recent, but okay.
Well, within the last 5 years.
I suppose.
It's recent, right?
I think of, like, recent as, like, a couple months, but okay.
If you look on Facebook, it also says 2018.
That I got married?
Mm-hmm.
That's because that's when I did get married.
Know. Right.
Which is last year.
Right. It was
the very first
recent.
month of last year.
Which is very recent.
No, it's been over a year. It's like a year and a half.
Okay. Recent.
Recent.
You heard it here. You started off at the University of North Dakota and finished your major at Winona State University.
Yes.
What was your major?
Well, I started out, when I was at North Dakota, it was education.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, well, I was only in North Dakota for 2 years. So my first year, like, strictly was all, like, generals and getting those stupid classes out of the way. And then I started in my education major in North Dakota and hated it. Like, it was actually terrifying. Like, being, like, 19 years old and being like, oh, my God, what you've always wanted to do your entire life, you don't want to do anymore. So, quit that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, North Dakota was just, like, too cold. And there was nothing to do there, so I had to get out of there. But I had a really great, like...
Is it colder than here?
Oh, my God, yes.
It's really cold here.
No, like... It's very cold here, but it's also cold there, and then they have, like, 60-mile-per-hour winds on top of it. And in the summertime, when it's, like, warm out, it's 60-mile-per-hour winds with, like, sand and dirt in them, so it's just, like, miserable. And then in the wintertime, it's, like, negative 50 degrees just because we're in, like, North Dakota, and then it's, like, 60-mile-per-hour winds with snow in them. Like, we used to, like, my roommate and I, who's my best friend from when we were 5, we used to, like, bundle up to go to class, and we would, like... you could only have, like, your eyes showing. Like, we wore snow pants to walk to class because it was so miserable, but...
Snow pants.
Yeah, it was
That's.
ridiculous.
I mean,
Like,
I can't imagine that experience.
It was so stupid. So, no, I had to get out of there, and then...
Because here, it's so cold.
Yeah, and
like, it's miserable.
It's worse there. Like, you don't think it... Like, especially after this last winter, like, it can't be worse anywhere. Like, no. Go a little west and north, and you will die.
All right, well, I'm never going to do that. I'm going to just refuse.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the other direction.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
Siblings. You're one of 3?
Yeah.
I
Middle.
guessed. I know your sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, I've met her.
Yeah.
And then you have a brother?
Yeah, he's older. He's, like, 2 years older.
So you're the middle child?
Mm-hmm.
It's all making sense.
What does that mean? Because I'm, like, a good peacekeeper, mediator?
That's true.
Is it actually?
I mean, I feel like you're kind of.
I just don't like to deal with drama, so I'm like, meh.
Yeah, I know. Drama. Tell me about, you said when you were in North Dakota, your roommate since you were 5. That's how long you'd known her?
Yeah, we
were. So, like,
were...
your best friends. So
yeah.
you guys have some good stories. So let's start off there.
Oh, good God. We have... I don't know if I can say anything. Like, my mom this morning, I was like, Mom, I'm going to go do a podcast. And she
well,
was
you
like...
can just tell a good one that's,
she goes,
like, appropriate.
Just be careful what you say. Like, I'm going to, like, take down the world in this podcast. I was
Maybe.
like, okay,
Who
Sydney.
knows? Maybe this will be the thing that puts you on the map.
No. She was my best. Her name's Kelly. She's my best friend since we were like 5 years old. We met in kindergarten class together.
What's your first memory of her?
This is so dumb. She always had the best outfits. Like, they were very themed.
Yeah.
So, like, specifically remember this one outfit she had. Like, she still has really great outfits to this day, but she had this one outfit that was, like, a little cowgirl outfit, but it wasn't, like, over-the-top cowgirl. It was, like, just enough that it was freaking adorable on a 5-year-old. It was, like, a little denim skirt, had, like, a little ruffle at the bottom. It had, like, red handkerchief, like, bandana pattern, like, top. Like, it was so cute.
Were you envious in kindergarten?
Yeah, because she always had really great outfits. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm like super tomboy, so I was just wore like probably overalls. Like, I don't know. Like, just the same outfit every day. I don't know. I was 5.
I wish I had a picture of you at 5.
She had like the coolest. She also, this wasn't when we were 5, but at one time in our lives, she had this like fur coat. I think her aunt got it for her. But like, I just remember being out at recess and she had her fur coat on and she'd like run around and look like a freaking bear. Like, it was so awesome. Like, just ridiculous.
Side note.
Yes.
On this side of your headphone, at the very bottom, there is a like switch for your volume. I think it's like not turned up. But
I can hear though.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know.
It's at the very right there. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but you can play around with that. That's all the way up. Okay, cool.
Good stories. Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good story, and I'm pretty sure both our parents know this, so we can say it now. When we were in high school, so kind of weird. So she's also a middle child. Her older sister is the same age as my brother, so they were in school together. And then her younger brother is a year or two younger than my sister, so like all 3 of our kids in our family are like very close age. Anyways,
got it.
So it was going into, it might have been going into our senior year or our junior year. I don't remember. Her parents were like bringing her sister to college, and so her parents like left her home, whatever, for the day, and kind of like told my parents like, hey, like kind of we were old enough that we didn't need a babysitter, but like, hey, kind of keep an eye on her. We don't know when we're going to be back. And so we were at my house, and we told my parents we were going out for lunch, and so, which wasn't a lie. And so we decided that we would get in the car and drive down to Des Moines, Iowa.
For lunch.
For lunch. Because we wanted to go to Sonic, and they didn't have Sonics up here at the time.
That's fair.
So we get in the car, drive like however many hours south, don't find any Sonics. And we ran out of gas and stopped at a gas station to fill up because we were like, we just have to go home now. Like, we've been out too long. And stopped at the gas station. I just happened to ask the guy, his name was Oliver,
Oliver.
working. I said, do you know if there's any Sonics around here? And he's like, yeah, go back one exit and it's like right there. And I was like, seriously? So we ended up getting our Sonic for lunch and whatever and made it home and it was fine. But like, my parents just, for the longest time, thought we were just
gone for a really long time.
They thought we like went and hung out with friends or something after lunch. We're like, we're going for lunch. They probably thought we were going to like Noodles and Company down the street.
Do you remember what you got at Sonic?
No, I have no idea.
What would you get right now if you were at Sonic?
Okay, I don't know. I don't really eat fast food, but I do hear that they have like a pickle slushie.
This is a great segue into...
I know it's not meant to be, but I would totally try that. Like, yeah, definitely.
So I know what your favorite food is because we just talked about this, but tell everybody what your favorite food is.
Pickles.
So,
which they're so delicious. They're like a perfect snack. If you eat enough of them, it could maybe be a meal. I don't know.
Why are you, so you also refused to wear a Band-Aid today with pickles on it.
That was a pickle. I just feel like...
Explain that to me. You said, well, maybe if it was winter when it was covered up.
Yeah, because like I feel like as an adult, I shouldn't walk around with a pickle Band-Aid on its shorts. Like, that people can see. They'd be like, what the fuck is on that lady's leg? Is that a pickle?
I say just go for it. Live your best life.
It is a pickle. Okay, well, sorry, I don't have any with me.
Pickle Band-Aids. I mean, those are special. I mean, I think that's like... I know people that love like hamburgers, but pickles.
Do they walk around with hamburger Band-Aids on?
Probably.
I mean, okay, fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just didn't want to be judged.
I get it. I'm judging you that you didn't wear it. See, this is like...
I know, reverse.
It's reverse. I just think you should have just gone for it.
Well,
Like,
it stopped
it sounds
bleeding.
fun.
My cut stopped bleeding.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're not bleeding anymore. Talk to me about. Well, okay. First, I think this is a really fun question, and I think I'm gonna like start asking people more.
Oh, no.
What are 3 things you think that people should know about you?
I don't know.
Like, just I mean, it could be anything, right? But like things that you think are important about yourself.
Okay, I feel like I am like very open about myself anyways. Like I feel like I just tell people or say things. I don't know. I feel like my mind is like always going and I just like talk and
Yeah.
So I don't know if I like
you're
have a lot
vulnerable.
of things that people don't know about me. So let's see. 3 things that people should know about me.
Like some of these people have never met you. They don't know who you are. So what do you think they should know about you?
Okay, I'm like well, most people know I'm a crazy dog lady,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm like a firm believer. I don't know if this is just like how I was like raised. Like my family always had dogs, and like my grandma had a dog and whatnot. And she like at the time I thought it was really crazy. My grandma had like her own bank account with like stacks of money in it for her dog in case anything happened. And I remember when my grandma passed away and like my dad became like whatever, I don't know, ended up like taking over her life, you know, because she had passed away, and discovering this bank account with all this money in it, and we were like, what the? And the lady's like, well, this is the dog bank account, and we were like, what in
There
the
was
world?
a separate account
Yes.
for dogs.
And like I don't know, I was like older at the time, but I was like thought that was crazy, and now I'm like,
No, it makes
no,
sense.
this is totally normal. And like
Yeah.
my little wiener dog is my world, and I would do anything for that dog. And like dogs are so family. And
So you this is mostly for my own interest because Chancey Poo, as always, is here with us, laying on the floor, splitting the difference between Caitlin and I.
I think he's leaned. Oh, he was leaning towards me.
He knows we're talking about him.
He was.
We went for a run the last few days, and he is, I think he's a little sore, but he also, like, he just sleeps
He's
a
also
lot.
a 3-legged dog, and you take him for runs. So
Yeah,
there's that.
he's awesome.
He's working.
He does great.
Like, extra.
Yeah, he like starts off and he's like, "Woohoo!
Yeah,
let's
like,
go!
let's go, Dad!"
Yeah, and then he gets to like the end and
He's like, why did you do this to me?
even with me, and I always know like he's like starts
Then
to
he's
slow
done.
down a little bit. But yeah, anyway, like I get it because this guy, like you said, he's a 3-legged dog. He's, you know, there's a lot of things that we have to make sure he's taken care of and make sure that he's healthy, and that comes with a lot of expenses, you know, like it's not cheap to go to the
No.
just like it's not cheap for humans to go to the doctor. It's
No.
not cheap to take him to the vet.
We at least get health insurance. And when Oscar was a puppy, somebody was like, you should get health insurance for your dog. Like, it was a
makes
new
sense,
thing
yeah.
at the time. And I was like, no, stupid.
Now you're like,
now I'm like,
Sign me up.
oh my God, why did I do this?
But do you have like, is it within your bank account, you know how you're like savings, checking, do you just have like an
Oscar
additional
dog account?
like
No,
account,
but maybe
or is
I
it
should
like
do that.
I don't even know if you can. I guess.
I mean, like, I
this
have
is
a
my
branch
ignorance.
account.
I don't really know how that
I
works.
guess that's a savings account. I don't know.
But-
I don't know things. I don't adult very well.
Yeah. This is another like married question.
Okay.
So like Dana and I don't share a bank account. Like
Neither
our
do I.
finances are completely separate. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have like a joint account?
Yes, but no. We both have our own accounts still. This is strictly because of like child support reasons
Oh yeah,
and whatnot.
Sure. That makes sense.
And we do have one that's like shared that we both put money into.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we haven't started that yet, but I mean, the way we do things works just fine, but it'd be nice to like that's one thing that we've talked about, like we want to do like vacations together, so we want to like throw
put all
some
your
money
money
into
in
it, and like when we go out to eat, it'd be nice to just like, hey, let's use our joint account instead of like, hey Dana, can you
you pay this time. Yeah.
Because I don't make any money, and, and you do. So, but yeah, okay, cool, interesting. That's, I mean, I can count 2, but if you want to go with like you being vulnerable as
Okay.
1, and your dog love for dogs, and that you have a savings account for your dog or bank account for your dog. If you want to do 2, I'll accept it.
Okay. Yeah.
If you have
I
2
still
more,
don't
we
have,
can go for
I don't
it.
even know anything else.
You do. Think about it. Take your time. No rush. No hurry. No pressure. All the pressure. All the pressure.
I know, so much pressure. This is why I said I don't come up with answers quickly.
Take your time.
I don't know, I'm like trying to think of like cool things that have happened in my life. Ooh, one time I got stuck in a gas station. I don't know. Like, weird things happen in my life that I'm like, seriously? Like, of course this would happen.
Now you have to tell us about the gas station, so go on.
Well, there's like multiple things. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Sometimes I'm like, why do these things happen to me?
What area of the gas station were you stuck?
No, it was totally normal. So when I was a senior in college...
Time out. It's not normal to get stuck at a gas station. Continue.
When I was a senior in college in Winona, I was interning. Okay, so went to college in Winona, played lacrosse in Winona, interned in Hastings, and
What was your
lived
internship?
in Apple Valley at Dakota County Juvenile Corrections. So
We'll come back to that.
okay. So was like kind of all over the board. And so I would like go back and forth all the time. And Fridays I had a full day of class. So most of the time I was like up in the Apple Valley Hastings area and then would just like go to Winona to like go to lacrosse and then whatever, come back. Anyway, so Fridays I had class all day. So every Friday I'd spend the whole day in Winona. And one Thursday night I was like Friday I was going to drive down with my friend who also lived like up in the cities. And I knew she loved Mountain Dew. So I was like, great. Like Thursday night, I was on my way. I was going to actually go spend the night like at my boyfriend's house, who actually didn't live too far from this friend I was going to drive with. So it was just like time saving. And I knew she loved Mountain Dew and we had to get up early in the morning. I was like, great. I'm going to stop at the gas station, get us some Mountain Dews for the morning, like before we have to go sit in class all day. So I'm just, stop at the gas station.
Regular Mountain Dew? Or was
Regular
this like
Mountain
when the new... Okay. Because like the...
Regular Mountain Dews.
There's some fancy ones out there.
I know,
like,
the orange one's
I think
my
Code
favorite.
Red came out probably around that time.
Code Red is like, no. Okay. No. Anyways.
But I don't love it. I'm just saying, like, I'm just checking. There's some different ones out there.
So anyways, I just, park my car, walk into this gas station, the radio's playing, the coffee machine is beeping. Like, nothing out of the ordinary. Go back to the cooler, get my Mountain Dews, and I, like, walk up to the counter to pay. And no one's there, and I'm just kind of like, oh, maybe they're, like, cleaning something up. It's late at night, Like, didn't think anything of it. Kind of sit there for a while, and no one comes, and I'm like, hello? Like, calling for someone at this point. So I'm like, weird. I feel like they should, like, be aware that someone's in the store. Like, I could have stolen so much stuff by this point.
They're just, like, asleep behind the counter or
and
what?
so I'm like, hello? And I kind of, like, peer over the counter, and I'm, like, starting to look around, and, like, things are making noise. So I'm like, somebody's here, and no one comes. So I was probably, like, 2 minutes, which isn't that long of a time, but, like, when you're just alone standing there is a really long time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to leave. So I just leave my Mountain Dews on the counter and, like, try to leave the store. Well, it was a Holiday gas station. I don't know if you've been to them, but they only have doors that open certain ways.
Right, like
so
an
you
exit and an
have to
entrance.
push their doors to, like, get in, and I don't remember if you push or pull their door to get out, whatever. So I, like, go to the door to get out, and push. Yeah, push. So I'm, like, pushing on the door to get out, and it's not going, and I don't know, I'm, like, panicked at this moment, like, what, it's stuck in here? And I'm, like, looking around, and
So you're, like, abandoning the Mountain Dew at this point. You're
and
like,
then, so I'm like, push, nothing happens. I'm like, crap. So I, like, go over to the other side, and that's when I notice, like, like, I can't get out of that door either, because I can't, there's nothing to, like, pull, and you had to push that to get in. So I'm like, starting to panic, and then, like, the coffee machine is still beeping, and the music's still playing, and I'm, like, thinking, oh my god, it's late at night, somebody robbed this gas station, they murdered them, they're in the back, they're gonna come murder me next. So I'm, like, panicking, I, like, call 911, and I'm like, I don't know if this is an emergency or not, but I'm stuck in a gas station.
Could you not get around to, like, the front? Was the front one, like, the entrance, the one that you came into?
There was nothing to pull it open because you had to push it open.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, couldn't you have unlocked the, like, outdoor? And I don't know. I didn't see a lock. It was probably a key lock.
Right.
I don't
But
know.
you were
I was
also, like,
panicking,
paranoid at
thinking
that time,
somebody
yeah.
was going to come out and murder me because they robbed this gas station.
Right.
So I'm, like, panicking, like, just, like, and the lady's, like, the dispatch lady's like, are you sure? And I was like, yes, I'm so sure. Like, no one's here. I called for help. I'm not going to go looking in the back. Like, somebody could be back there. Like, what if they killed them? Like, panicking. She's like, okay, well, we'll send somebody over. Like, what gas station are you at? Because they can kind of, like, ping your cell phone, And I was like, oh, it's a Holiday. And I was like, I don't know the roads. I was like, I'm by a Fleet Farm.
Did she find it?
Yeah, they were able to find it. And so she's like, okay, well, stay by the door. And I was like, okay. So, the cop came, and it was a lady cop, and she's, like, kind of walking up, and she comes to, like, the exit door where I'm standing, and she can't get it open either, you know, because there's nothing. So I go around to the other side, and she just kind of, like, pushes it open, like, very gently, and I, like, run out, and she's like, hold on, stay here. And I was like, okay. And she's like, was anyone else in there with you? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I didn't look around. Like, I was too freaked out. You know, like, now that I think about it, like...
How long were you in there at this point in time?
Probably, like... 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
Like, because
so it's been a while. Plus like the cop getting there.
Yeah, because then I had to wait because the lady was like, what roads are you on? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm by a Fleet Farm. So, yeah, so I was in there for...
I hate that question because I'm such a landmarks person.
Right?
Like, I would have said Fleet Farm.
I'm by the Fleet Farm.
Right. I'd have been like,
oh, county.
I'm so bad about it. Even now, like, I know my way around, like, the Twin Cities super well. Like, I do. But, like, if you were to tell me, like, I still, like, the road I drive on every single day to go to school and, like, work, I'm like,
what road is this
like, 35, is that 35 or is that 36? Like, they're all the same.
Turn
like,
at the barn?
Yeah, like, I got 94 down, but, like, the other ones, I'm like,
no idea.
One goes east and west, one goes... it always confuses me. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, so then she was like, okay, well, let me get your name and number, and I'll call you if anything happens. And I was like, okay, I left some Mountain Dews on the counter. I'm sorry. And then she just let me go, and I never got my Mountain Dews.
Did she call you?
Yeah, so she called me the next... Actually, I don't even think it was the next day. I think it was later that night. It was, like, very soon afterwards. And she was like, just so you know, the gas station was actually closed. The person working never locked the, like, entrance door. So, and I was like, okay, so that's how I got in. They just didn't lock the door. And so I got in. No one was there. It was fine.
Yeah. So they clearly didn't set, like, the alarm either.
No, when I went in, it, like, set off the alarm. So it had, like, notified the owner. And so the owner had ended up, like, calling the police, too, or whatever.
So it was, like, it was a good decision. Because even if you had gotten out, it would have been, like, you broke in.
Yeah, and then they would have, like, had my car on, like, their cameras.
It would have been, like, better that you called. Good job.
So,
good
that was, super funny. And just, like, why would this happen to me?
Of course. Okay.
Stupid.
So I love that story. That was great. That's 3. We'll accept it. Okay. If you think of anything else along this journey here.
I feel like something else just really... well, I don't know.
Go for it.
I don't know, like, a couple weeks ago, we had, like, really, really bad weather, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking my car to get a freaking oil change. Totally normal thing to do, you know? I'm at the car dealership. And all of a sudden, like, I can hear, you know, like, when there's severe weather now, like, people's cell phones will, like, the weather thing, like, dings off on them. So, like, all these, like, cell phones in the waiting room that I'm at, like, start dinging. I'm like, what is going on? And I could tell, like, the sky was sketch. Like, as soon as I got there, of course, it downpoured.
Like, down Napa Valley, like, South Minneapolis?
It was in Burnsville.
Okay. Yeah, because you guys had more, I feel like, down that direction, you guys had worse weather.
Yeah, there was, like tornadoes and stuff down there. Yeah. So, I'm, like, sitting at the car dealership, and I'm like, well, at least, and I'm, like... kind of paying attention to things, not really, but all these alarms start going off, so I'm like, oh crap, like now it's actually serious, it's not just like hard rain. I'm like, well, at least my car's inside because they're changing the oil. And then this guy comes out and this lady, and they're like, we have to go for cover. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you
mean cover?
And they're like, our general manager called and we have to like brace for safety, like there's a tornado. And I'm like, what?
Warning, brace for impact. Like, warning.
What? And of course this building I'm in is just all glass. And I'm like, this is awesome. So
where'd you guys go?
So I just grabbed my chair and went into the ladies' room.
Did you, it was like a bunch of you?
Yeah, we all had to go into the bathrooms and just sat in the bathroom with some other ladies. I mean, had a great conversation with these ladies, and like we're all like... It was so funny because we're all kind of like watching our cell phones like, oh, tornado touchdown there. Oh, that doesn't look good.
I hope my home is okay.
People's like loved ones are like texting them like, oh, there's a tornado here. Like, are you? Yeah, like so funny. And I'm just like sitting in the bathroom, like text my sister at work, like, do not leave work. Tornado touchdown. Like, text my parents like, get the dog, go to the basement. Like, stupid things. I'm like just like sitting in the bathroom at the car dealership. Like,
how long were you in there?
We were probably in there. I mean, it wasn't super long. Maybe like 15 minutes the first time, and then they let us out. Mm-hmm. And And it was fine. I mean, I'd rather be in the bathroom at the car dealership than like dying in a tornado in this glass building.
Yeah.
And then they let us out, and then they're like, we were only out for like, oh God, a minute. And they're like, just kidding, gotta go back. So we had to sit in there again. And it was so stupid. I was trying to get to my cycling class at the gym because, you know, I'm like an avid cycler now.
Yeah.
And so when I like first...
Like spin classes or like your own thing? Okay.
Oh, yeah. So when I went to like drop my car off, I told the guy, I was like, do you think this will be done in like an hour? And he's like, oh, yeah, definitely. And so like then I like...
An hour had gone
the time we got like let out, he was like, so I don't think it's going to be done. And I was like, you know what? It's probably fine. I'm just trying to get to my cycling class at the gym. Because he's like, I'm sorry, I don't think you're going to make your appointment. He's like, you can schedule for another day. And I was like... no, it's really just cycling class at the gym. Yeah. It's not a big deal. But then I like even texted my cycling instructor and I was like, is class still on? Because my gym's just like a couple miles away. And I'm like, okay,
obviously they probably didn't start at the same time.
Yeah, if all this weather's going on, like they cancel classes. So I text her whatever. And she's like, no, I can't get there. All the roads are flooded. And I'm like, what is she talking about? Like, okay, flooded roads. And I don't know where she lives. So I don't know where she comes from to like go to these flooded roads. So leaving the car dealership, I'm like, just driving along like on a frontage road on the freeway, not thinking anything of it. And there's like these, you know when they do construction, they set those like sandbag things out?
Yeah.
To like keep debris out of the streets and stuff. So they're like in the road. And I'm like, that's weird, but okay.
Oh, they probably had them like on the side and they got pushed
in from all this water. And I'm just driving, like didn't realize that at the time, just keep driving along. And then all of a sudden,
kerplunk.
There's just a lake in the road in front of me. And I'm like, and there was a car in front of me, luckily. And so we both kind of stop and we're like, the car went for it. And I was like, and the car made it. So I was like, okay, this is the dumbest thing you're going to do in your life, in your car probably. And I was like, but that was a car and you have an SUV. So I bet you can make it too. So I made it. It was scary. Like I'm sure it was like 2 feet of water. Like it was not okay. And then my gym I go to is the Lakeville Lifetime. And I don't know, the like pictures went viral. Lakeville High School is like just down the street. And like cars, like trucks were like in feet of water. Like
Lakeville North?
Yeah. Did you see I don't know, like some news station shared all the pictures like online and stuff. And like
that area, because I used to work at Lakeville North when I first started off.
Yeah, you know that school. Like.
So like down in that like little, like the parking lot is a lower like area.
Like so the road that goes Dodd, that goes like right by there had like 6 feet of water on it, like ridiculous amounts. Like
that's so scary.
You should Google challenge the pictures because it's insane. Like Lakeville North High School flooding. Like it's like there's like a pickup truck in there and it's like up to the door. Like what? And I was like, oh, that's why the gym teacher couldn't get there. Oh my
gosh! Look at that.
Like that's not okay.
That's crazy.
That was what I was going to. So yeah.
Well, not that. Like what we're looking at is there's like these pictures. There's a semi truck. It looks like it's like up to the bed of the back of the truck.
Look at that pickup
truck. And the pickup truck's got like there's probably water going in the back of the tailgate. That car is
not okay at all.
Yeah, that convertible is not gonna make it. That car is totaled. Oh, look at it. See?
Yeah, like that
would have been you right there. It's like up to above the wheels. Like that's like more than 2 feet. Whoa, that's crazy. I didn't realize it was so bad over there. I spent a lot of time in the
car dealership and then went into this.
That's so crazy. I feel like I lived in like this isolated world because I had no idea. Like I knew that the weather was bad down there, but I just didn't know. I don't watch the news. I just can't do any of that. So it's just too much for me.
So yeah, weird things happen to me, like ride out tornadoes in car dealerships. And
that's awesome.
Get locked in gas stations.
So segue, I guess, a little bit, but this podcast is going to be happening next week. Mm-hmm. So it's currently Friday, but it's going to go out next week. Mm-hmm. Next week I'm doing all women on the podcast.
Cool.
So
I get to kick it off, or
women's empowerment? Yeah, potentially. I mean, Monday or Wednesday. I don't know. We'll see what works out. I've got Dana's sister, Caitlin
also
Overson.
Caitlin.
She's going to be on. She's coming on Sunday
way more
morning.
Interesting than I am.
I don't think that's true. I think you guys are equally interesting. Have you heard the stories that you've already told? This is awesome. This is great. These are the best stories on this podcast
these are
so
like
far.
Just stupid things that happen.
But I love it. It's great. I'm also having my current teacher from this last school year, Devin. She's going to be on. She was a first-year teacher, so it'll be fun to talk to her about like her.
She survived.
experience, as well as on that podcast will be another coworker of ours and one of Devin's really good friends, Mary. And then those two will be together. They'll be together on here, so that'll be fun. It'll be the first time we have two people. We're supposed to have Emily on here today, Emily. But didn't work out. So, but that's okay.
We still love her.
Yes. And so anyway, I'm doing this because I want to, like, I think it's important to have a women's perspective.
Okay.
I think that, you know, I've talked with Dana, my wife, about this a lot, but, you know, just growing up and, like, as well as just kind of, like, diving into the world of being a woman in this time of age and today. And I don't know, like, you're a coach. You've been a coach several places, and obviously it's for women's sports, which is really cool.
Woo.
And, like, women in the workplace, I think it's really interesting to have your perspective, and I would love to hear maybe your perspective on what your experience has been, and, like, maybe just your take on being a woman in today's society and what that means to you. And I don't know, I want to give you an opportunity to, like, empower women out there to get after it and to be the strong, independent ladies that you are. I
don't know. I guess, so like I said, I was kind of always like a little tomboy growing up.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that sound satisfying though?
It really is. I always grew up playing sports. I had an older brother, and so, you know, I kind of, like, wanted to be like him, and I had a dad.
You think that had a big influence on you, or no?
Yeah, probably. My dad was also, like, very active, so...
Is your mom, like,
she did things, but, like, I don't know. She's such a mom, like, that sounds bad, but, like, I feel like she gave up so much of her life for us to be our mom that, like, she didn't do the things she always did. Like, she did... I mean, she was still, like, active. Like, she went to she'd go to the gym, and she loves swimming, and she still walks and stuff. Yeah. But, like, yeah, she wasn't, I don't know, I feel like she gave up, like, the things she'd really love to do. But, like, anyways, yeah, so I had, like, really strong male role models that got me into sports, I feel like. And my dad was, like, a hockey player, like, throughout his life. And my parents had a pond in their backyard. So, like, when we were 2, we were on skates, like, skating in the backyard. And I just had, like, my parents were so supportive in anything, like, I wanted to do. I mean, it took them a while almost to get there. Like, my mom was all for it all the time. Like, she kind of has that, like, girl power spirit. And my dad, like, I don't know if it's just being a dad or whatnot, but he was, like, a little more protective. And my best friend from Kelly, from when I was 5, she's actually the one that got me into hockey. So she played hockey, like, all growing up. Okay. And I didn't play till I was 10. I just, like, kind of skated in my backyard and whatnot and played with my brother or whatever. And
it's a good age, though. Because you're, like, really figuring things out as you get, like... not to diverge from your conversation, like, where you're going with this, but I think it's really interesting. I'd love to come back and, like, talk about this as a coach and, like, your perspective on, like, age and when people should get involved in sports. But we'll let you continue with that, and I'll make a little note in my notebook, and we'll get back to it.
No, and I had, like, played other sports, like, growing up. Like, I was, like, an avid soccer player, blah, blah, blah. But she played hockey, and I thought that was so cool. And I loved skating in my backyard, and my dad played and whatnot. So I thought that was so cool. And my dad was like, "Meh, hockey's too dangerous for girls." And I was like, "Is it really, though? Like, you let Jim play?" Yeah. And so her dad happened to be the coach of the, like, 10-year-old team. And he was like, "Oh, just come out for a practice sometime. Like, you can see what it's like, whatever." And so... my parents got me all the equipment. I went out on the ice for practice, and that was where I met, like, my best friends to this day still on this little 10-year-old team. And I had so much fun, and I was like, I need to come back. Like, I'm coming back. And my parents were like, okay, I guess you can do this. So
you're also really competitive.
Oh, yeah, super.
So,
yeah, that's kind of how I, like, got into hockey. And I feel like that kind of, I don't know, like, that's not, like, overtaking my life, but, like, I love hockey. It's so great. So I did that and kind of got into it. And, like, again, my mom just being... So when you're 10, you're still pretty young. You're trying to, like, figure out your skills and, like, if you can skate or not. And
just trying to stand up.
Yeah, like, I had played since I was... Or not played, but skated since I was 2 because we had this pond. So...
You were instantly, like,
I was, like, a decent skater. And well, you need a goalie for hockey, and the coach, like, it's always, they usually rotate, like, everyone, you just gotta, like, draw straws, and somebody has to put the goalie gear on and play for a game, because no one wants to play. And my coaches one day, they were like, well, you have good, like, good footwork and, like, really good hand-eye coordination. Like, would you want to, like, actually try this? And I, like, was 10 and was like, sure, I don't care. And my parents were like, no way.
Yeah.
Well, my dad said no way. And my dad travels for work. And so he went out of town one weekend. And my mom was like, okay, you can play today. Well, he was
That's
gone.
cool.
So then I tried, and they were like, wow, you're so good. Like, do you want to do this more? And I had a ton of fun with it. So I was like, yeah. So
I feel like I mean, I get it. You're getting a puck slung at you. Yeah. But, like, you've got all the equipment. Like, you're pretty padded. Like, I feel like being a goalie in hockey is way more, like, quote, safe than, like, some of the other positions out there.
I mean, I'm
Yes
sure
and
there's
no,
risks
but,
for
like,
everything. Yeah. No, that's so funny that you say that, because
It's better than getting checked into the boards, you know? Like,
when I play games with my kids at school in gym class, they're always like, Miss Caitlin, you play goalie. And I was like, I don't think
that's fair.
So they, like, make me play goalie. Like, whatever, I'm a team player. I'll play wherever, you know? So I play goalie, and they're like, always like, you suck. And I'm like, okay, but when I actually play goalie, I have gear on, so I'm not afraid to, like, get hit. And, like, I always end up having to play goalie the day I wear my glasses, too, which is the worst. Like, so dumb. But, no, my mom was, like, super great and, like...
Sounds like she is pretty influential.
Pushed me.
Like that.
Not pushed me, but, like, let me try
Gave
new
you
things.
opportunities to...
So then my dad came home and we're like, so I have this new position I play. And so.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, and then he was super supportive. I think he just loved that we were into sports.
Yeah.
My parents, like,
that makes sense. I mean,
kind of just loved that in general for us kids. Like, they gave us I don't know, guidance, whatever, in high school. And it was either like, if you choose to be in sports, you can choose to be in sports. But if you're not doing or it didn't have to be sports, I guess, but my siblings and we were all into sports. Like, you can do an activity or you have to get a job, but you're not going to do nothing. Like, you have to do something. So that's, I don't know, maybe I just didn't want to get a job, so I just picked up, like, every sport you could do. So
sure.
I played hockey, soccer, lacrosse. I ran track. I did softball for a little, like, I don't know.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite? Lacrosse or hockey or softball?
I think hockey. I think I love lacrosse, and, like, but I didn't find that till I was in high school. Like, it was so new to the Midwest.
Now.
Yeah, even now. But I love, like, it's so cool. Like, I gets me, like, so excited. When I was in high school, our lacrosse team was all 4 high schools in the school district, which is, like, weird because most school districts only have one high school. But
right.
Like, we're very
big. How big was your graduating class? Do you remember?
Like 800 or something.
Okay.
Like,
that just gives
District
people
196 is, like, huge. So so we had 4 high schools, and we were all on the same team, and, like, we had, like, a varsity JV team, whatever, but we were like club. So we got to travel like other high school teams would, but, like, the state high school league didn't recognize it. So it was still awesome to play. It was so fun. And then, like, from the time I started, so that was actually my sophomore year that I started this. And then by the time I was like a senior in high school, we had actually split 2 and 2. So we were, like, 2 high schools together, and then the other 2 stuck together.
Yeah.
And then the year after I graduated, so the year my sister was a senior in high school, their school split again. So the other 2 stayed together for a couple more years, and then those 2 high schools split again. So, like, now watching, like, being a coach, because now I coach for a different high school, but in the same district, it's like, and I've actually coached 2 teams in the district, but, like, it's so awesome to see, like, holy cow, 10 years ago, like, we had 40 kids from 4 high schools coming out, and now we have, like, 60 kids from 1 high school.
That's crazy.
And, like,
that's awesome.
I just think it's so
that's
cool,
great for, like,
watch it grow.
You know, I talked about it, we briefly kind of touched on it before on the podcast, that just women's sports in general, and, like, rallying behind and how kind of what that looks like. But that's really cool. I mean, those are great numbers for any program that you'd ever awesome. Like, in any, like, male, female, doesn't matter. Like, those are great numbers, period. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I compare lacrosse to, like, soccer when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Because I feel like soccer didn't have the notoriety that it had now. And I think, especially in, women's sports, the women, like, currently, like Google has their
playing,
picture
probably.
as the World
Yeah.
Cup. I think they might be
It's
today.
not 1 o'clock yet.
Did I say 1 o'clock?
No, it starts at 1.
Oh, okay. But like they're good.
Yeah.
And like the US like women's teams are generally pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Like they outplay and outmatch like success wise, they are way better than a lot of like men's teams across the board. And so we talked about I just asked the question, and maybe you can answer this too. Do you think that if all things being equal, as far as like amount of time on TV, amount of time on all these things, do you think the ratings and the numbers would like balance out?
Like
over
between
time?
men's and women's, are
For
you
instance,
talking?
like I feel like sports on TV, if you watch ESPN, it's
Male
very
dominated.
male dominated.
But
and
also think of the opportunities that men have that women don't have. Like
Well, speak to
there's
that,
an
'cause I-
NBA and a WNBA, but how many NBA like that? I feel like okay, so somebody told me this. I don't know basketball very well, so maybe I shouldn't be talking about this. But you can only have a WNBA team if you have an NBA team. Like there has to be an NBA team that supports
Well,
you.
that's kind of like the
So-
like college-wise, the same thing. Where,
But no one
like,
ever
the
tells
programs have
men
to
like
be-
you can't have a team if you don't have a female counterpart team.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't. I just feel like there's so many
Sure.
more opportunities for men. Like they have the NBA and Major League Baseball and the
Yeah.
NHL.
Well, I
and
keep going back
this
to
and
like
that,
the wrestling because that's like my background.
Yeah.
But like women in wrestling is growing like crazy,
Tremendously.
and I'm like super excited about it. I've talked to my wife about this. Like, if we have a girl, like I want to introduce her to
Yeah.
wrestling. Like, I don't care. Like, if she's
be cool.
a girl, like I think, she's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
like
why
my kids,
not?
I want my kids to be like have that
Well, and
fighter
if they want to
spirit
do,
in
if
them.
they want to
And,
do
like,
something, just let them do it.
obviously if they want to do it, but I want to introduce her to it at least, and if I have a daughter. But I don't know, I not that my like perspective is shifted at all. I don't know that I ever really had a perspective on it, but I guess that I think that the media in general, it's all clicks and likes and what's going to draw the most people in,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's why we see male sports more.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there's an equal playing field.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's my question. If you had the equal amount of WNBA that's on prime time as you did NBA, what would those numbers look like? Would women tune in more? Would it increase the numbers of people? I think so. Like, I think overall,
Yes.
over time,
but-
it's a time
yeah,
thing.
it would definitely take a while. I think, like, honestly, like, this is
it's a really complicated
weird.
issue.
I think back to, like, what is interesting to people? What is exciting for people to watch? And, like, honestly, like, think back to, like, Roman times when they did gladiator fights. Like, these males that would, like, literally fight each other to the death. Like, that was so cool and exciting to watch. And you think of, like, how different the games are between males
Yeah.
and females. Like, yeah, they can play
There
the same
are a lot
sport.
of
Like,
differences.
lacrosse is a good example of, like, male and female, like, huge differences in the games.
well, and women's
like,
basketball and
it's
men's basketball,
so-
women's wrestling, and men's wrestling. Actually,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
that
so
much different.
So it's like, what is going to be really exciting for somebody to watch? And like, yeah, it would be so great for women to like have that equal opportunity. And I think it would grow in popularity. But I think it's not that. Like, obviously, I love women's sports and they're super exciting to me. But I think to most people, like, they're still going to favor the men's side because it's
I just
so
wonder how
aggressive
long.
or
I
whatever
wonder.
it is.
Well, I think that stereotypically or like within the DNA of whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't speak to that, but I think. Oh, I kicked on the air conditioning. I meant to turn it off before the podcast, so the sound wasn't on there. But sorry, guys, that's just the deal.
Deal with
It's
it,
a little
yeah.
warm down here, so I wanted to make sure it was a little cooler. It's a hot summer day.
Yeah.
But no, getting back to that, I think that, like, I agree. Like, I think you're right in some ways. I just don't. Men are more. They're just more risk takers
Yeah.
in general. But I don't know that. And this is like talking about a women's topic. Please understand, I'm not trying
Why
to
are
like.
men more risk takers?
Right, but I think that. Well, I think that there's a whole lot of like evolutionary.
Women like think about it and like, oh, if I do this, then this, and this could happen, and men are like, cool, I'm gonna do this.
Sure, and I think that there's just an evolutionary like
Yeah,
spin to
just
that. I
how
think
it
that
is.
there is like you look at Neanderthal days, like, and you have a woman that has a child, her job is to
provide
and
child.
like
Yeah.
protect that child, and the male's job was to go out and hunt and create. That was the job, right? And so that is evolved and like been taken in some ways to the extremes, I think. And I think today's society we're starting to like move a different direction. I think that equality really is advancing. I don't think we're there yet, but I think that the opportunities have like started to like grow. So I guess my question is like if that's all you see growing up is men's sports, how are you supposed to get involved and like be excited about a sport as well? Also, like, you know, you see this like glass ceiling of athletes. You look at runners back in the day of like nobody had ever ran for years. Mm-hmm. People had never ran under 5-minute mile, you know? And then when that broke, boom,
I don't know.
it took
I
off.
think it's
So like I guess my point is like if the opportunities were equal, would we see things? It's going to take time, yes. But like is that gain greater than like just staying stagnant in this like rise in whatever sports?
I mean, I think it would be so great. I think just sports in general too, like if you're going to be competitive, like I talk to like parents and other coaches about this a lot, or just people, I guess, whatever.
Sure.
Not necessarily my athletes, but literally half of what makes a good athlete is their competitiveness, their wanting to compete. Like, you can have a lot of skills, but if you don't care, like...
But how do you learn those skills? Like, you know what I mean?
I think you're just, like, honestly, like, born with them. Like, I don't know, I've always had, like, a drive to, like, want to do better, to want to... Like, I love competing. Anything I can make a competition, I'm, like, all for. Like, like, minute to win it games. Got this. Like, stupid. Like, I don't know, I think...
I am too.
You're
like,
almost,
I'm
like...
totally competitive
You're almost,
well,
like, born with it. Like, you can't teach someone how to be competitive. Like, you cannot...
Right, but I think when you're growing up, you know, I think you're a prime example, and you kind of gave some examples to this of like, and this is no knock on your father, but like your father wanted to protect you. I think that's really honestly the genuine heart that came from it. He's like, I want my daughter to be protected. Yeah. And I think that is a it's a thing that's perpetuated. I think the man is like, the protector. I feel it. Like I want to protect. Like when we hear a sound or something. Like the other couple weeks ago, we were laying in bed and Chance never barks. You mentioned this when you came in. He was like, I rang the doorbell, but like he never like came to the door, but he didn't bark. Like he just doesn't bark. Like he howls at sirens sometimes, but he like big boy voice barked. Like dead silent, dead middle of the night, and we're like, ooh, you know, like it's like 1:30 in the morning. We've been asleep for a few hours, and like I like put my hand on her chest and was like, you stay here, I'll be right back, like don't move. You know, like she sat up and I'm like, no, you stay here. Like, but that's just, I want to protect, like my job, I feel that one of my things is like, I am here to protect you. Yeah. Like if I get hurt, that's fine, right? Like I don't care. But if you got hurt and I didn't stop you from getting hurt, like that's on me, failure, right? Yeah. That's on me. Whatever, whether that's right or wrong, and we could debate that for days, and some people would say it's wrong, and I don't think it is, but that's just my take on that. But I think that, I don't know, I just think that some of those things are like definitely learned traits, you know? Like, if your mom was the one they inspired you to play hockey, and you like watched her videos and watched her films and like did all these different things, do you think your life would have been differently? Like you grew up like watching that? So like that's my point, is that I think that I think that you're right, that there are personality traits that we get from our parents that just come naturally to us. But I also think that because things aren't equal in the male women like spectrum world, whatever you want to call it, that we don't like, not that you're held back, but that you aren't aware of the opportunities that maybe exist or the way things go, and like you would break that glass ceiling that maybe exists in some ways differently. Does that make sense? Yes. And I don't know, like I've thought about it, like it's obviously something I've debated the like idea of pay in sports. Well, you don't get as much viewership, but like it's not equal, so like you can't really compare that because it's not the same. You know, like if all things are equal, what rises to the top? I think knowing those things, it like almost gives me a little bit more drive, and
I've been like super, super lucky. Now, so both the sports that I coach are both for Egan High School, and it's a female athletic director there, which is like
cool.
Athletic directors are 99.9% of the time going to be a male. I mean, it's athletics, so like male
St. Paul
dominated.
Central is a lady
male dominated world.
Athletic director as well.
But Sandy is like, I like see her and she's like, oh, like it's like an angel woman. Like this, she is so great, and she like not only is she just like a good, like genuinely kind, caring person, but she, and it's not like she's uneven. Like I'm gonna fight for females way more than the males, but she's gonna fight for all of her teams. Like she's gonna make sure that all of the teams have opportunities, and she's gonna make sure like, well, if the boys get recognized for this, the girls should get something, like, get it too.
Well, and I think that's important, especially in nowadays. And I talked about that a lot, of, like, just pride in sports in general. And I think that pride within all sports, of women's sports and men's sports, like, that was super influential for me specifically. Like, when I heard my name called on the announcements in the morning, dude, I, like, you know how much pride, like, I puffed my chest out, carried my head high, like, But I live for those moments. Like, it's a competitive drive for me, you know? Like, Shane McNeely, like, placed first at the North Knox Invitational this last weekend. Like, good work, you know? Like, I love that. But I had something to prove. Yeah. You know? And I think that in some ways, I'm sure that you have instances where you're like, I got something to prove, too. Like, I'm a woman, but, like, I got this.
I don't know. I think I'm, like, way more competitive with myself. I don't know, like I compete with others. I don't need necessarily that recognition. Like I just want to know for myself, like
how great I am. Yeah, sure.
Like
I don't think that's wrong.
I don't know. I like to hide under my hockey mask and like whatever. Yeah. Like I don't need. Yeah,
of course, nobody wants to fail. Nobody's like, I'm gonna go out here and just like
being called on things. Like I mean, whatever, that's cool. But like, I don't. That's not why I do it. I'm just like I want to see like. What I don't know, there's like such a mental thing too, is like for sports, like your body can do so much more than you think it can, and I think that's 100%. So awesome also to like, that's why I love like girls, like sports, like athletics, like teaching these kids like you're I'm gonna die, coach, I can't run anymore, like right. You will pass out before you die. Like you will be amazed what your body can do for you, and I think it's so cool.
But I guess that's in some ways what I mean by like the glass ceiling and like being like growing up, because I think that, you know, I mean, I don't think anybody has ill intentions. I don't think people are like necessarily out to hold women back, but I think the times are changing. Yeah. You know, and I think that it's like an unconscious like thing that men do, but also just society does, that like. And now more women are speaking out, more women are taking leadership roles, more women are being treated equally, and I think that there's been great progress. We've got a long way to go, but I think there's been great progress in those areas, and I think that that's awesome. Like that's exactly, like I talk about it with my wrestlers that are all males, which might be changing this next year at Cretin.
That's awesome.
There's a talented lady that I hope she does really well, and I hope she joins the team, and like I get pumped about that. I think it's really cool. I think it's only good for the sport. Like it's only going to grow the sport. We have wrestling, like the first woman United States USA women to ever win a gold medal was Helen Morales, and that's awesome. Yeah. You know, like she should get treated like she's a gold medalist, like she's a champion. Why not? And I don't think that she is, but you know, that's a whole nother like thing in some ways, but I don't know, I just think that the mental toughness aspect of things, I think that it's not that we baby, I just think that there's something within men that just want to protect, and I don't think that there's an exception to every rule.
That has been the norm. So
right, there's an exception to every rule, but I don't think that most people are like intentionally holding women back. It's just like, like don't get hurt, right? Like I think it's an endearing thing in some ways, but I don't think it's being viewed that way anymore, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, there is a huge rise in women's sports across the board, and I think that that's really awesome, and I'm happy to see that happening. So awesome. I think it's just good for all sports in general. You know, lacrosse, a young sport, when women 60 like girls, high school
Yeah,
girls
I mean,
are like coming out
Yeah.
to try out, even if that's not what's on the team. Like that's
insane.
insane. That's awesome.
That's like 3 teams for one school, and like we were
I'm
one
excited
team
about
for 4
one.
schools.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
excited
what?
about one
It's
woman,
insane.
girl coming out for high school
Yeah.
wrestling in a sport that I care about. You know, like that's 60.
Yeah,
Like we
it's
would
awesome.
kill for 60 people to come out for wrestling, just in general. I
General,
don't care who you are. So that's really cool. And that's fun. That's a cool thing to be a part of.
It's awesome.
Going back to age in sports, I feel like this is a good
Ooh,
segue into
okay.
that. How do you feel about that? Like, you said you started at 10. Like, I started playing soccer, I think I was like 5 or 6. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I played soccer probably since I was like 5
Right,
or so.
which is very
like,
similar to
kindergarten.
lacrosse, but there's like similarities. It's more
When
similar
I
to
try
hockey,
to explain
probably.
lacrosse to people, I say, think of if hockey and soccer like merged, because you have like a stick, so you need the hand-eye coordination, but it's on a grass field, and there's
Then
a
you
lot
throw
of
the ball,
players
so-
like in soccer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a combo of a bunch of different sports. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that personally, like obviously I excelled in soccer growing up. That was something that was like my main sport and something I
Yeah.
cared about. I'm not gonna lie, I would really like that air conditioner to kick off. But yeah, I excelled at those, soccer, and then I didn't find out about wrestling until I was a freshman in high school.
that's like me in lacrosse.
And so I joined the wrestling team, and my natural competitiveness, like I'm very competitive. I feel like I've been able to harness that and pull that in a little bit as I've gotten older.
That's, I think, so interesting too. Like, I'm a very like team sport person, but you went from like a very team sport to
that's-
a single person, and it's
And
just
that's
all
what
on you.
And that's what I mean. I think that I grew up in this team mentality, and it's like always knowing that I'm only as good as the team that I'm
Yeah.
around. And we had our successes, and it was a young program. It was only the second year our soccer team, my freshman year was only the second year the soccer program had existed in my high school. By the time I got to my junior year, the club teams had finally caught up to like our like high school level.
Yeah.
So the freshmen coming in when I was a junior had all been playing club
Like
soccer
forever,
forever. So we started to like excel for sure from that point on. And I think the soccer, I don't keep up with it too much, but I think the soccer program's
Doing
succeeding
okay.
and doing well. I know it still exists, which is great. But yeah, I don't know, like going from the team sport to an individual sport where now it's how much
All
I
on
put
you,
into it,
yeah.
which I'm fine pushing those boundaries and like pushing my mental toughness and working hard. Like I didn't have any problem doing that. I think that allowed me to succeed and grow and learn within that sport way
Yeah.
faster than a lot of people, just because I'm like, oh, cool, like it's all based on me.
Yeah.
If I put in the time, I get the results.
Yeah.
Like, cool, let's work hard. Let's
Yeah.
go for it.
There's no
but-
one else to blame.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it definitely plays a part. Do you think that it's, you coach a couple different sports, so, do you notice a difference? Do you think that there is a difference? Do you think it's beneficial? Do you have an opinion on, in wrestling we talk about, there's a lot of conversation about how soon is too soon, having fun, there's that parent always at wrestling tournaments, at youth wrestling tournaments and stuff, that's like yelling and berating their
Crazy.
child, and I definitely don't agree with that. I think that introducing kids to the sport, I think, is good, and like at the same time, I also think that you have to listen to your athletes and listen
Yeah.
to your people and what they want to do and what they want to succeed and excel at. There's kids that put in a lot of work, even at the high school level. When they're there 4, 5, 6 hours a day, maybe they might be there for a while, or a parent might stay after and work
Yeah.
with them. There's definitely like elements when you look at that and you go, ooh,
Is that
is that too much?
okay?
Right. But my first question has always been, is that what the student wants? Is that what the athlete wants? If
I
that's
think-
what they want, if they want to excel, if they want to get a college scholarship and they want to
Then,
work their
yeah.
butt off, and they're willing to go to whatever extreme, and they've told their father, their mother, whatever that is, and their mother's working with them, their father's working with them,
Yeah.
and extra
I think you
time
can tell.
and pushing them.
I don't think it's ever too young to get your kids in any sport, honestly.
involved.
I think it's really actually like just like developmentally really good for kids I like team sports for little kids because they get to be around others and working together, so they get those aspects. But like soccer, gymnastics, whatever you're going to put your kid in when they're 5, 4, whatever, I think that's great because then they become aware of their body.
Can I have one of these? Not this one, but
that one's empty. You can have some of that. They become aware of their body and like how to use it, and I think that's really cool. And then like working together and like setting goals, like okay, we want to, like we're gonna win this game, whatever. So I don't think it's like ever too young to start your kids in any sport, and like being open to letting your kid try whatever they want to try. Like okay, soccer, you want to play hockey, you want to run track, you want to do gymnastics, you want to do dance, whatever. Like, and I think a lot of times kids these days are overscheduled, and as long as your kid is asking for it and you're not forcing it on them, which I feel like you can tell a lot in kids, like you maybe not so much when they're younger, but like when you get to the high school age kids and you like know that the only reason they're playing that sport is because their parent wants them to, like though, I feel like
you can very
as a coach,
figure that out.
I feel like it's you can kind of pick those kids out, but no, like if they want to keep playing and like or whatever, participating in these activities, like why not? Like I think it's so great for them to have those opportunities and do all that stuff. And I don't know, I think I love as a coach, and I just the two sports that I happen to coach are like very they kind of go hand in hand, like they're very like opposite, like off-season sports. I love like multi-sport athletes. I think they're so great. They're that much more aware of their body and what they can do. They're not overusing.
That's what I call being an athlete, or like athletics. Like we talk about this in every sport. It's like, oh, that person's really athletic. Well, what does that mean to be athletic? You don't just, like some people do naturally just become athletes, or athletic. But I don't think it's just that. I think you can teach it, and I think it's becoming self-aware of your body and being able to manipulate your body in the way that you want to. That's what being an athlete is, and that's what it means to be athletic.
But continue. I think I think that's so great, and I loved hockey so much that I wanted to play hockey year round, so my parents let me do it. But I played lacrosse in the spring, and I played soccer in the fall, so I had other things too. And I think as a coach, I love kids that play multiple sports because they're not I don't know. I feel like a lot of times there is so much pressure on kids to excel in these athletics that they end up playing soccer year round, and then they have a torn ACL when they're 14 because they've just been playing soccer for 24/7 for 8 years. And so I think I love when these kids come from other sports because they're still staying fit, they're still using those muscles but in a different way, and they're still feeding their competitiveness and
it's an expectation thing as well from coach to coach. I mean, generally athletics, there's a general expectation across the board, and if you're playing in another sport and you're multi-sports, you kind of get that you don't just come just to goof around. Everybody wants your attention, and especially as a coach, man, when kids are messing around, it's just disrespectful, right? Of your time. You're I'm here to help you.
Well, as a coach, it's super disrespectful, but as a team member on those teams
it's
too,
also disrespectful,
when the whole team isn't there to compete and work together, and I mean, obviously for team sports, most of them your objective is to win, and if not everyone feels that same way, it kind of ruins it for the ones that are there. Yeah, it sucks, but
that's part of it. Yeah, I love sports. I think, man, I like your perspective on all of that, and I think it's just good. In general, I think sports are good. I've heard, man, you learn so many life lessons through sports and athletics.
So many.
And I think that there's some people that didn't play sports and weren't involved in those things, and I've heard those people make the comment of why do we even have sports? And I'm like, what? Nothing will get me more fired up than a comment like that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for sports. I've learned what it means to work hard. I've learned what it means to not want to do something and persevere and make that happen. I've learned mental toughness. I've learned teamwork.
Time
I've learned
management.
My own leadership skills. My own communication skills. I've learned how to
how to take direction from somebody.
Yeah, how to just be healthy. There's just so many things I've learned. Not that you can't learn those skills other ways, outside, but
what a great little package to bundle up and get from one thing.
Fundamentally, as a human being, Athletics are great.
Wow, yeah.
Like, and that's not taking anything away from, I think that all the extracurriculars, whether it's band, choir, art, whatever it is, like you learn all those different things within those different extracurriculars that you just can't learn in a classroom setting. Yeah. But I don't know. I just love sports in general. I think that they're great, and I think that they're great for everybody. And I want, I don't know. I want all of those things. I want women to have the same opportunities that I have. I think it's great. I don't think that there's any. I just have really been kind of thinking about that, and I don't know, just especially with this next week coming up, just kind of what that means and some of the questions I want to ask, and like what it means to be a woman in today's age, and like women in the workplace. And I think Caitlin's really going to have a perspective on that in some ways. Like she's a very like driven gal. How long do you think we've been on the podcast so far?
I don't know.
Guess.
An hour.
Yeah, you're right. 65 minutes.
Nice.
But it doesn't feel that way, right?
Well, I mean, I guess pretty close. So I'm like a good time to.
But you had originally said like an hour and a half seemed like forever, and it just, I don't know.
It does kind of just go.
It just kind of goes with the flow.
Okay, fine. You were right.
I know. Oh, that feels so good. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for telling me I'm ready. I don't get to hear that at all, ever.
Never.
Let's transition into special education. Mm-hmm. What got you into special education?
Okay, so kind of a weird trail. I interned in juvenile corrections. Mm-hmm. And loved that. I've always liked kids, and like working with kids and helping people. I think that's why I wanted to be a teacher for so long. Mm-hmm. I just needed to find a different way to do it. And not that I wouldn't want to be a teacher now again, but whatever. And then after college, I got a job working at a youth shelter that was really great and helping kids still.
Yeah.
And as much as I liked doing what I did there, my sister was working for 917. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "Oh, we have openings at my school. You should apply." And I didn't really think about anything else and was like, cool, I've always wanted to work in a school. I still get to help kids. This is gonna be great.
The hours are great, the schedule's great, the summers are great, so many benefits.
Yeah, why not? And I could work with my sister. So I applied and ended up at like a different school, but the school district liked me, so it was whatever was there. And then ended up leaving that district and going back to the district I grew up in, which is the best school district in the world, at a special education school for that district.
Kind of cool that like it goes like
it's like full circle. It I don't know, like I try to tell people like I don't think like people get enjoyment out of like I'm sure like kind of back to the sports thing, like people probably get enjoyment out of like coaching like youth athletes, but like it's so cool to me to be able to give back to the school district where I grew up and like played with. Like it's so cool. And like
I see my wrestling coach from high school, his grandson just qualified for like the Pan American Games and like as a high schooler, middle schooler, and like they had a fundraiser a couple weeks ago for him to be able to go out there, and I like remember qualifying for national teams and being like, oh, I got to get money to do this, and like being in that same situation. And it's the same thing. Like I actually, full disclosure, I haven't given anything, but I told my wife, I told Dana, I was like, I got to do something. Like I have to give something, like, because
this is like it's so cool to like see things come around, and like now being back working in the same school district where I grew up, like I can like pull specific teachers from my life that were like this person is like literally changed my life. And so
have you ever written or talked to them about that, like written them a letter or anything? This is on my
which is so weird. I have a really good friend who stayed really close with two of her teachers who are kind of like the same, like mean the same to her, and probably even more. And she stayed really, really close with them, and like, I'm kind of envious of her, and like that she still gets to have. And she actually ended up being a teacher. So
do you have connections, or do you know your coaches from there, like from growing up, like maybe somebody that was influential in your life?
Yeah, like my coaches,
or even like teachers or whatever.
My coaches are kind of still around. Actually, when I was in the bathroom at the car dealership, one of the ladies that was in there, it was a teacher at...
Speaking of full circle.
Right? Was a teacher at the middle school I went to, and...
Well, why I asked this is that, will you join me in a challenge?
What is this? I don't know if I like challenges.
I want to write a letter to both my soccer coach and my wrestling coach. Just thanking them for...
I would love to do that. Let me just send it. Like, I need to write a list of all the people, because I actually do love writing. Like, this morning I was thinking, like, God, the girl who cut my hair is so great. I really need to write her a letter how good she is.
Well, cool.
Also, who doesn't love getting mail?
I mean, whatever the letter you want to do. Will you do it with me?
Yes,
will
I will
you tag...
I'm sure I can have multiple people.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get like a little thing.
I think it's really cool, though, too, when, like, adults...
I think that's a simple way of, like, doing good and, like,
and then the
making
children
difference.
become adults and, like, still remember those things and can be recognized. Like, not that I need to change the world or something, but if I can have, like, one kid be, like... tell me in 5 years, like, oh, I'm so glad you were my coach and you helped me through this and this, or, you know, whatever.
100%.
I'd be like, I don't even need to get paid. Like,
it would honestly, like, that's like it. Something that, like, made me...
I don't even need that.
Sounds
I just
really
like
dramatic. Like,
I don't even need that. I just need, like, I don't need to even be recognized for that. Like, I just want to, like, be out there with the kids, helping them learn and grow.
But, like, that's one of the reasons that I'm a coach.
Yeah.
Is because of the influence that my coaches had in my life. And, like, I really want to do that. I've been talking about it for years, actually, and I haven't done it yet.
Okay, so this is our thing.
So we're going to do it, and then will you, like, send me a picture or, like,
yes,
send me, like, whatever, or we can post it and we can do that.
Yes.
And anybody listening, you are welcome to join us in this challenge. I would love to have more than one person.
Challenge.
Yeah, I think it's just really cool. I think it's really important to, like, let people know, like, the influence they've had in your life.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you're listening out there, let's do this together. You can tag Crazy Face Uno on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
All the above.
Send us a message with a picture on Facebook or on the website, whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's like, it means so much and it's so cool to me to, like, be back in the school district where I grew up. Like, I think it's so awesome. And when I was a kid, like, the school I work at's been around for like 20 years. Probably longer than that. I don't even know. So it's been around. I mean, it was there when I was in school, and I just, like, I didn't know, like, the amazing things they were doing, and now I do, because now I get to be there, and I think it's so cool.
It's interesting being a coach, and you see, like, for me, I look at all the time that my coaches put into me, and, like, the extra times that they put into me, and I'm like, oh, like, wow, that was really a lot more than I ever, like, nowadays, like, ever could, or, like, just because there's just so many, like, boundaries and rules and things now. Like, I used to have keys to our gym. Like, my wrestling coach didn't have keys to the gym. I had keys to the gym. Like, he gave me his keys. You know, like, I'd go in there in the morning, I'd turn on the heaters, and I'd get running, I'd work out. Like, I did my own thing, right? Yeah. And I opened the gym up for everybody. Like, that was just how this went. And you couldn't do that nowadays.
Now
You'd be fired like that.
No.
Like, you know? I mean, he handed his keys over to me. That was the first time I ever drove a stick. Like, he handed his keys over and I was like, hey, you got your license, right? A week ago I had my license. Like, 2 days ago, maybe.
I think it's in the mail.
Take Roy home. Like, goes through the cars. Keys. I was like, yeah, that's a whole nother story. But, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, you just couldn't get away with those things nowadays. No. But I really value the, like, time and the energy that my coaches have put into me. And just... they were there for me when I needed them. You know, my parents went through a divorce when I was in middle school or sophomore year of high school, and my coaches stepped up big time. Like, and I didn't see it then as much. Like, but now I look back and I'm like, oh wow, like they really cared. They really valued. Like, they clearly saw something in me because they put the time in. Yeah. You know, to my life.
No, and I'm totally,
like, hey, you want to go fishing?
I feel like I'm one of those people, and this is, like, kind of off topic, and we don't have to go into this, but it makes me so angry when I hear about, like, these sketchy coaches who are doing this or this, and I'm like... they ruin it for everybody because it's a way that we can invest into other people. It makes me so furious because, like, these kids are so vulnerable, and, like... you can be such a good role model for this person, and you just screwed it up for everyone. For everyone. It makes me so angry. And it sucks. I hate that. I agree, like... you know, you sign, like, oh, you can't give people a ride home. I mean, dude. We do these, like not that it's annoying, but it's whatever. We do these, so, like, every year with the new, like, seasons of sports, we have to do these, like, safety training videos and, like, take these tests and blah, blah, blah. And I understand, but they're just, like, we also have to do them for school, and I coach multiple sports, so I'm doing, like, 6 times a year. So they just kind of become, like, repetitive and annoying after a while. But now we just got this... I just got this email about the hockey. We have to like add this like sexual misconduct training, and I'm like, seriously, people, like if this is why you're coming in to do this, like you're a messed up person. It just makes me so angry.
Keep your dick to yourself, you know, because let's be honest,
so
it's mostly
angry.
men. So like
so angry. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it really is. It's really sad. Like really, like that's what we've came to.
Yeah,
and
so
like
frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating. Sorry, I got off topic with special ed, but continue on. I don't know where you were at.
Yeah, so just ended up at 917, then switched over to 196 now and love it. And I have like a really, 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 I don't even know how to describe the two ladies I work with in my classroom. They're so wonderful. Like, they are world changing. And our classroom's been really lucky that they've kept us together now for a couple years. So,
that's awesome.
Because a lot of times they move people around. So, especially in special education, you just get like burnt out. I mean, you've been there, you know, all that whole world. So, so I'm like so lucky that I have these two ladies that I've been able to stick with. And we have like other people that kind of pop in and out. And we were lucky enough that they gave us a fourth person for our classroom for part of the days this year, just because our classroom was a little wild. But like she's so incredible too. So I'm a little sad that she's not with us next year, but maybe we can like persuade them. Keep my fingers crossed. But no, now I'm like I've done so I was with at the juvenile center. You had to be 12. You have to be 12 to be arrested. So I was kind of with like 12 to 18. We'd keep you until you turn 19 technically at the juvenile center. So kind of a lot of 12-year-olds aren't breaking the laws, getting arrested. So there's a lot of kind of older teenagers that I worked with there. And then at the shelter, kind of the same thing, 12 to 18. Again, a lot of 12-year-olds aren't doing things that they need to be in shelters for. Sure. Although the little kids were my favorite because they're so cute.
Yeah.
I had this one kid one time, and he looked like Zero from Holes, and I wanted to take him home. He was so cute. I can't do that. So older kids again there, and then was with high schoolers at 917, and now have been with middle schoolers the last 2 years, and this year they're moving us to elementary. And I'm like, whoa, little kids, like, what am I gonna do? And they're older, like 5th graders, like, so, I think it'll be okay, but
I used to like when I was subbing and stuff, like I subbed quite a bit, you know, before I got like into my schools or whatever, and I used to think that I like didn't want anything to do with like elementary school, and then I started subbing in like elementary school, like special ed programs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, just kidding.
I think it'll actually be like really. I just think I'm like nervous because I don't know what to expect because I don't have a lot of time with them, but I think it's going to be so fun. Like, I feel like, especially, the kids I work with are kind of set in their ways by the time that I get them in middle school. So I think to like swoop them up a little bit earlier, maybe I can give them a little kick in the pants a little sooner.
That's awesome.
So
well, tell us about Oscar. I got to give Oscar a little shout out. I know he's a big part of your life. So tell us about Oscar.
He's my child. If I could spend every moment with him, I would. I debated bringing him today.
Oscar's her dog. What kind of dog is he?
He's a long-haired miniature dachshund, a wiener dog, but I like to call him a sweener dog because he's a sweet wiener, a sweener. He has like 55 names. Like, I don't know if anyone calls him the same name.
What is the name you call him most often?
Okay, so so he also comes... so his parents are like champion show dogs and agility dogs, both wiener dogs. So that's hilarious, an agility wiener dog. So he had to be like registered because he comes from this like champion bloodline. So his real name is Oscar Meyer Wienerhart. 2 middle names like his mom. Oscar
Meyer Wienerhart. When you like call the vet, do you use his full name? Oscar
oh my God! Wienerhart? Speaking of the vet, so he's got like he's medically challenged to say the least, and I was just calling. He gets his nails trimmed at the vet also. Yeah. But I was just calling to have his nails trimmed the other day, and the lady picks up the phone and she goes, can I get your last name? And I was like, Hart. And she goes, and the first name? And I go, Caitlin. And she goes, oh, for Oscar? Well, you could have just told us it was for Oscar. Like, they know him there.
That's
and then I, like, brought him into the vet, and the lady was like, she was in the back, but she must have heard the door ding. She was like, is that Oscar? Is Oscar here? And I said, yes. And she comes out, and she's like, how old is he? And I said, oh, 7. And she goes, that's all? And I was like, I know, you've already seen him for, like, his quota of, like, daily dog vet visits for their lifetime. Like, I know. And she's like, wow, I just feel like he's so much older than that. I've seen him so much. I'm like, yeah, I know. He's here all the time.
That's awesome.
But no, I would do anything for him, and I love him.
I know you've entered him into a few different, like, photo contests. Or,
yes,
like,
I try to get him
something?
into, like, a lot of things. He did wiener dog races when he was little.
Did he ever win?
He did not. He only actually did 2. They didn't go very well. The first one, we were, like, all lined up on the starting line, and they like do the gun or whatever, and he ran backwards away from me through the crowd of people over to, like, and I panicked because
like,
he was
deuces, I'm out.
he was just a little sweener dog at the time, like, very small, and, like, through the crowd, runs away, and I'm like, ah! And I shouldn't have panicked so much because I know, like, I'm in a crowd of wiener dog people. They're going to give me my wiener dog back. But he ended up just going over to, like, the tree where we had been standing before. Like, he just freaked out. I think it was, like, the loud noise from the gun or whatever that scared him.
So he beat everybody to the tree, though.
Yeah, so he actually didn't so maybe he's been in, like, 2.5 races. So didn't compete in that one. But then, because wiener dog races are, like, super professional.
Yeah, very
They're like,
competitive.
just kidding. We had a competitor fault on that one. We're going to have to run that heat again. So we got to run again, or he got to run for the first time. And he did not win, but he did make it to the finish line that time. It was super cute. My mom made him his little, like, racing outfit. So cute.
Oh,
and then he was in another wiener dog race. And he, like, he's super, super pretty. Like, the people we got him from, the lady was like, so he's a long hair, and he's just, like, really, really cute. And the lady was like, I wish he was a girl, because I would keep him for a show dog if he was a girl. But the boys are just too hard to maintain as show dogs. And so that's how I think just their, like, temperament, whatever, which is super funny, because he's the chillest dog in the world. Like, he's so chill. So that's how I got him. But he's, like, really pretty. And
I mean, you talk about chill dogs.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I think you got competition over here.
I don't know. My wiener dog's pretty chill. But his other wiener dog race, everyone was telling him how cute he was as we're, like, walking up, and he must have, like, heard and, like, thought he was hot shit, because then when the gun went for this one, he, like, ran out a little bit, and then he kind of stopped and, like, looked around and just kind of, like, strutted to the finish line. Last place. Actually, I think he was second to last place, but everyone was like, oh my god, look at how cute he is! And he was, like, looking at everyone.
Oh, man.
Like, he's such a little...
That's so funny.
Such a little sweener. So, no, and then I try to enter him in photo contests because he's really cute. But no, he's never won anything. Just doesn't have the drive like his mom.
He's number 1 in your heart, right?
Yeah. He also has, like, this is kind of messed up. A broken paw now, like, completely broken. So he will be in no more wiener dog races.
Retired.
His this is super messed up, kind of gross. His ankle joint in his left front paw is completely disintegrated. So his foot,
there's, like, nothing to do
about
it.
His foot is no longer attached to his leg, which is really messed up.
Is he in pain, or?
I don't know. I mean, he still walks around. He doesn't cry or anything. He was on a painkiller for a while, but I think he's... The vet basically told me, because I was like, what? What are we going to do? Do you have to amputate his leg? Can you do that? And she's like, well, no, because of his proportions. And his other foot is a little messed up. Like, we can't amputate him. He wouldn't be able to hold himself up. And she's like, I was like, okay, well, so you're just going to leave it attached? And she's like, yeah, I mean, it's not, like, hurting him. And he's pretty much, it was, like, disintegrating over time. So she's like, he's learned how to walk on, like,
to do it.
Yeah,
to make
like, on
it
his
work.
other, basically his leg now. It's kind of messed up. So she's like, I think it'll be okay for now. I'm like, okay.
So
he's a retired racing wiener, but I push him around in his baby stroller on runs, and he's got a backpack so he can come on bike rides, and I'm a psycho, but it's fine.
That's awesome. Well, let's end the show with a little would you rather questions.
Okay.
From this good old cards here. I'm just going to pull one out.
This is the scariest part of this whole thing. I'm really nervous.
Pick a number between 1 and 5.
There's 5 different ones on there?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with 1 because I'm number 1.
1 is pain, fear, and discomfort.
Is that like the theme, the topic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you rather have to use the toilet that is unbelievably filthy and gross, or use one that's clean but has 6 small jumping fish in it?
Let me tell you that I would pick the gross one because I hate fish. But also, so this last weekend I ran Grandma's Marathon.
Oh.
Mile 20, really had to go to the bathroom. Just had to pee, okay? Just had to pee, not those scary stories.
Just go for it.
Went into the porta potty because I'm like in the city of Duluth now, and I'm not like people will go on the trail, whatever, when we're out in the boonies, like, and they'll just pee in the woods. But I'm in the city now, so I can't just go behind a tree.
Right, you gotta like actually figure it out.
This porta potty I went in was scary. Like, I can't even describe it. Just imagine.
What was your time in the marathon?
4 hours and 11 minutes and 53 seconds.
I have no idea if that's good or bad or
it's all right.
indifferent.
My training for this one was really bad,
nice
so
job.
I was hoping for under 4:30, so I did okay. But I was with the 3:40 pace group till mile 15, so I was like dropped.
You told me this morning because you went to work out that you were like out of shape, like because you hadn't done it in a week, and you just did a marathon
a week
you're
ago.
Clearly, like you're
and
clearly
then
in very good shape.
haven't worked out since.
Well,
so
you're
yeah,
going with
I would go in the
filthy.
gross one. Done it.
Yeah,
Survived.
I mean,
I was scared, but survived. I came out and there's a girl waiting in line, and I go, "You can use this one. It's very smelly. There's no toilet paper left, and it's scary." And she's like, "Okay." It's like this little teenage girl.
All right, I'm gonna find another one on here. You want to pick a different number? It's
5.
actually by colors, but I think 1 through 5 is better.
5.
Yellow is random. So,
No. Oh, no.
So would you rather, as a man,
I have to be a man?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lose 2 fingers off each hand, or lose 1/3 of your penis size?
Would I rather? I don't know. Maybe the hands. I don't know what I would do as a guy. I feel like I'd be more connected.
I think that's fair.
As a guy.
I think that's gonna do it for Would You Rather. Caitlin, thank you very much for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming on the podcast and talking about sports and women.
My crazy life.
Your awesome stories, the most entertaining stories on the podcast thus far for sure. And I'm really happy that you're here. Thank you so much.
Do we go get lunch now?
Yes, we're going to go get lunch now. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Don't forget, do good. Make a difference. Write your letters. Seriously, write those letters. Tag Crazyface Uno, whatever social media platform you're working with. You want to do it. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know what letters you're making out there. Appreciate you. Have a good one. Peace.